Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I read some articles stating that Ukraine and Russia will kind of stop their military operations during the winter. One of the articles stated that it was the American US study or report saying, not study, report that stating that the war will be stopped for at least 6 months. All right, because of the bad weather. I don't think that to be a case, but anyway. In the meantime, the Russians are conducting offensive operations and they keep going on the same 3 directions. The Ukrainians are reporting that, so that must be very concerning to them. Otherwise, they would not mention it, or would just ignore it and say, well, they are not doing anything. The Russians are incapable, are impotent. But no, they let us know. Ukrinform lets us know through an article from the 13th of November 2022. Russians going on offensive in 3 directions of Donetsk region. The Russian occupation forces built defense lines on the left bank of the Dnieper River, while at the same time going on the offensive in Bakhmut, Avdiivka and Novopavlivka directions. That's been going on for about 2 weeks. That's what I heard. Article after article talking about these 3 directions. And it must be something big if it's still in the news and it's being reported by Ukrainian mass media. This is stated in the report of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine as of 1800, which is 6 p.m., November 13, today, published on Facebook. And I'm quoting, "The enemy focuses its efforts on restraining the actions of the defense forces in certain directions, continues to build defense lines on the left bank of the Dnieper River. At the same time, the enemy goes on the offensive in Bakhmut, Avdiivka and Novopavlivka directions. To replenish losses, the enemy continues to train mobilized personnel in military educational institutions, training centers, and further redeploy them to the areas of hostilities," the report reads. As noted during the day, the Russian occupiers launched 1 missile strike, 6 airstrikes, more than 14 MLRS attacks. The situation in Volyn and Polisia directions has not changed significantly. In the military establishment offices of Brest region, Belarus, from November 7 to 11, measures were taken to clarify the personal data of men of draft age. So this is in Belarus. There is a threat of the enemy missile and airstrikes, in particular with the use of combat drones from the territory and airspace of the Republic of Belarus. Well, why don't you shoot them while they're down? In Slobozansky direction, the enemy fired artillery of various types on the areas of Strilecha, Starlitsia, Buchovatka and about 5 more settlements. In Kupiansk and Liman directions, mortars, tube and rocket artillery were fired. Now in Bakhmut, offensive, right? Direction, the entire range of artillery was fired on the areas of settlements of Bilohorivka and Spirne, Yakovlivka, Soledar, Bakhmutske, Bakhmut, Andriivka, okay, and about New York is there too, and about 5 more settlements here. In Avdiivka region direction, artillery was fired on the areas of Vesele, Kaminka, Avdiivka, Krasnohorivka, Marinka and Novomikhailivka. Jesus Christ. Now, I didn't hear anything about any tanks. Nothing. And usually when the Ukrainians are reporting this kind of changes, developments on the front, wherever they have the three suspects, which is Bakhmut, Adviivka, and Novopavlivka. When they have those things, areas, they mention tanks. Everywhere else, they don't mention tanks. They just say tube artillery, blah blah blah, shelled. When they have tanks, is offensive. Now, I haven't read anything about any tanks in the two directions that they mention in the title and during the introduction of this article, where the Russians are conducting offensive operations. Interesting. Maybe they heard me and said, yeah, I mean, we want to screw you now. Yeah. In Novopavlivka direction, mortars, tube and rocket artillery were fired on the areas of, and they give about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 settlements. In Zaporozhye direction, artillery of various types was fired on the areas of the settlements of Huliaipole, Zaliznice, Mala, Tokmarchka, and two more. In Tavrisky direction, the area of Vyshchachetarsivska, oh my god, I'm breaking my mouth here, and about 1, 2, 3, 4 came under enemy artillery fire. The village of Dobra Nadia, Dnipropetrovsk region, was hit. So the same area, the same directions. I would like to know, I mean, they give you kind of like the villages, but I would like to know, and they don't tell you obviously, how much they advance. The troops, obviously, I mean, they conduct offensive operations. Okay, it doesn't mean they gain any territory, they don't gain any territory, they just try, and then the Ukrainians are pushing them back, so they're unsuccessful. This article does not even give me the tanks thing. I'm crying about that. That's one thing. And the other one is sometimes they also say regarding the same three directions, Adviivka, Novopavlivka, and Bakhmut, that the attacks, the Russian attacks, are offensive, but they don't call it that way. When they mention tanks, they were repelled. So that means they tried to go to I don't know, cross territory, but they attacked, but they were repelled, pushed back. Here, no tanks, no repelling anyone. It's just bzz, 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 bzz. Well, and again, they don't give us casualties, not even Russian casualties. Probably that's a different article that they usually say, oh, today 529 Russians were killed and this and that. That's a different article. I have to dig over. Anyway, so the Russians continue their offensive on those at least three for about 2 weeks that I know of. I don't know how long before that they've been trying, and how much they advanced, I don't know. I will find out. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.